Welcome back to Life's a Mom. I'm Nicole, and today we're going there. We're talking about body image, Botox, and what it really feels like to be a mom in 2025. The pressure to bounce back, the little tweaks we do for ourselves or maybe for other people, and how motherhood changes not just our bodies, but how we see ourselves. And this isn't a judgment zone. I'm sharing my honest thoughts, the good, the bad, and the downright ridiculous things I've believed about myself. Because if you've ever looked in the mirror and thought, what the hell happened to me? You are so not alone. Let's get into it. I'll be honest, I didn't expect body image to hit me this hard after becoming a mom, especially this time around. I mean, sure, I knew my body would change, but if I'm being honest, I wasn't ready for how loud, the inner critic got or how sneaky that pressure to quote unquote fix myself would feel. And then comes the world of Botox, fillers, tweaks. Listen, I'm not anti anything, okay? I've definitely done things and I've tried things and I'll probably do more. I'm even considering, no, scratch that. I'm not considering. I am going to be doing a mommy makeover, and I say it out proudly. I've always been the type to say, like, everyone has to do what's good for them. Some people are anti surgery, while others are all about it. And, like, you have to do what's best for you at the end of the day because you're the one who has to live in your body, wake up in your body. You think those people that are judging and talking shit are going to bed thinking about you? Probably not. And if they are, they really have some inner work to do you know? But I've also caught myself wondering, like, am I doing this because I want it or because I feel like I'm supposed to? And listen, I'm in Boca area, and I don't know, it's like this thing where Boca is known to be like Boca bitches, and it's really not the case. There's many amazing, sweet moms that I've met and I've become very close friends with, and they've been part of my circle. And it's been honestly such an honor to have met these amazing women in my circle that live in my community. We live right next to each other. So it's amazing. Um, but you see them, not them specifically, but like you see, where I live in Boca specifically, like women do go and women do get like work done. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. You don't owe anybody any explanation as to why you do the things you do to your body, and that's what this episode is really all about. The weird, messy space between confidence, insecurity, and self care. Can we own our choices without apologizing for them? Can we stop beating ourselves up for how we choose to feel good? Because honestly, if you've ever scrolled Instagram and thought, am I the only mom who looks like this? I promise you, you're not. And if you've ever booked a Botox appointment with one hand and then Googled self love in the other, you're definitely not. And I'll never forget this moment. It was maybe 2 months postpartum, and I had booked a Botox appointment on a total whim. I told myself it was like just a little touch up, but deep down I knew it wasn't about the Botox. It was more so about control. And control is a really big thing that we don't realize sometimes. But like in my head, I'm like, if I could fix this one thing on my face, then maybe I'd feel a little more like myself again. So, anyways, I sat in the chair. I was smiling at the injector, pretending like I felt totally fine. But to be honest, like inside, I felt a little bit like a fraud. And again, no offense to people who do work. I'm going to eventually do work, but it's just for me, I felt in that moment at least that I was trying to patch over something way deeper than a forehead line. I'm like very like critical. I barely have forehead lines, but like in my head I'm like I have to get this done. And you know what the wild part is that the Botox wasn't even the problem. It was the fact that I believed that I needed it in order to feel good. And that's when it really hit me. It wasn't about the wrinkles. It was about the story that I was telling myself that I wasn't enough the way that I was, that I had to earn my confidence back. Because to be honest, that's how I was raised. And I realized that. Honestly, it changed everything. And in that moment, it taught me something that I'm still learning every single day. And that is that confidence isn't something that we get after we fix ourselves. And listen, I know it sounds very like Cinderella like, very like Disney like happily ever after, it's all on the inside. Like, no, take care of yourself. It's important to do the things that you want to do for yourself. But I'm just saying, as it relates to confidence, it really does come from within, in my opinion. I believe that it's something that we gives ourselves permission to feel, like right here, right now, even in the middle of the messy, tired, uh, postpartum, the I don't even know who I am phase. We've all been there, especially postpartum. So again, I'm not saying don't get Botox. I'm not saying don't care about how you look. All I'm saying is that if you do it because you want to, not because you feel like you have to chase some impossible standard. Okay? Because when we treat ourselves with kindness, when we remind ourselves that we're worthy with or without the tweak, the filter, or the perfect genes, that's when the real confidence kicks in. And honestly, that's what I want for every mom listening right now. For you to feel good in your skin, in your heart, in your life, on your own terms. So, yeah, that little Botox appointment turned into a much bigger reality check for me. I realized confidence isn't about fixing, it's about accepting. And when I started showing up for myself with a little more grace, everything else started to feel a little lighter. But let me be clear, I'm still figuring it out. I still have those days where I pick myself apart or compare or wonder if I'm falling behind. And we have to remind ourselves that this isn't a before and after story. This is a work in progress story. And I think a lot of us are right there. We're just stuck in this weird space between self love and self pressure. Which brings me to the bigger question that I've been asking myself lately. And that's, what does it even mean to bounce back anymore? Like, seriously, who decided there was this imaginary timeline for how we're supposed to look, feel, or even be after having a baby? Because if I've learned anything, it's this: motherhood isn't a comeback story, it's a whole new chapter. And I'm still trying to understand that. It took me a while to even accept it. And in this next part that we're going to dive into, it's going to be about the unrealistic expectations, the bounce back culture, and how we can rewrite the narrative for ourselves starting now. So let's just say it, the whole bounce back culture is total BS. Somewhere along the line, we got sold this lie that after you have a baby, you're supposed to quote unquote snap back. Your body, mindset, energy, marriage, like nothing ever happened. As if, like, pushing a human out of your body was just a quick detour. And honestly, that mindset doesn't just mess with our heads, it robs us of the chance to actually be in the season of life. And I'm sure you've heard many times before, enjoy the moments now because they're not going to come back. And it's hard because we want to enjoy these moments and we know they're not going to come back. And you've probably rolled your eyes because it's the fifth time you've heard this, but it's hard to enjoy this moment sometimes because like you're still so hard on yourself. And the truth is, you don't bounce back after motherhood. Like people need to understand that. I hate the term bounce back. You grow forward, you stretch physically, emotionally, mentally, in ways you never have before. This is a whole new chapter. You've never had a baby before, or even if it's your second baby, you've never had two babies before. Whatever it is, it's always something new. And yes, sometimes that stretch feels uncomfortable. And I'm going through that right now, if I'm being honest. And sometimes it does feel like a blessing. And sometimes it could be both at the same time because you love being a mom and you love taking care of your baby and doing all these things, but also like you're hard on yourself in other ways. So instead of trying to shrink ourselves back into who we were, because a lot of people obsess about that, they want to get back to who they were. They lost their spark, right? As they say, they want to find their pink again. That's a whole TikTok thing. But what if we gave ourselves permission to expand into who we're meant to be? That's the beauty of it. If my mom were the same person she was before she had me, I don't know if I'd go to her for advice. I'm just being straight up honest. But like being a mom does change you in different ways. You go through different things. You have a different outlook on things, at least for me, I've really grown so much, especially since becoming a mom. There are things I still have to work on and I'm still working on, but definitely like I've let loose on a lot of things where I used to be very petty and vindictive over certain things. And now I'm just like different focused. Um, but that's just the truth. Like, anyways, so that's what I want to talk about. The unrealistic expectations, the pressure we put on ourselves, and how we can start flipping back the script on what bouncing back really actually means. Okay. So let's break down a few of the most common pressures we all feel, whether we say them out loud or not. So, first, you know how they say this. I love this. I almost laugh every time I hear it. You should be back in your jeans by 6 weeks. I mean, can we just stop? Seriously? Your body literally built a human from scratch, birthed them into the world, and is probably still running on 3 hours of broken sleep. And somehow society expects you to slip into your pre baby jeans like you're staring in the makeover montage. No, just no. Then there's the classic, you should be soaking up every moment, babies don't keep. And while, yes, like I said before, time flies and the days are precious, but can we also acknowledge that not every moment is magical? Like some moments are straight up survival mode, and that's okay. Loving your baby doesn't mean you have to love every single second of it. And I don't care what mom makes her life seem perfect, highlight reel, it's not. I promise you that. And of course, you should have it all together. Look good, feel good, get your body back, bond with your baby, keep your house spotless, and maybe even launch a business on maternity leave. Like, excuse me? That's not bouncing back. That's straight up burnout. The truth is, these expectations aren't just unrealistic, they're harmful. They make us feel like we're failing at something that was never even real to begin with. So, what if instead of chasing some impossible standard, we gave ourselves permission to slow down and to heal, to redefine what having it all together actually means for us? Here's what I've learned, and honestly, I have to remind myself of this almost daily. We don't owe anyone a bounce back. We don't have to perform motherhood for Instagram, and we definitely don't have to fit into a version of ourselves that doesn't even fit our lifestyle anymore. But what we do owe ourselves is grace, grace to rest, grace to heal, grace to grow into this new version of ourselves at our own pace, in our own way. Because motherhood isn't about bouncing back, it's about bouncing forward. And listen, I know shifting that mindset is hard. We're basically rewiring years of expectations, pressure, and comparison, but it is possible. And it starts with how we talk to ourselves, how we show up for ourselves, and how we choose to rewrite the story that we've been told. So, in the next part of this episode, I want to talk about exactly that. How do we start shifting our mindset, quieting the noise, and finally giving ourselves permission, to just be imperfect, evolving, and more than enough? Okay? So, how do we actually start shifting our mindset? Because it's one thing to know that we need to give ourselves grace. It's a whole other thing, though, to actually feel it on the hard days. So for me, it started with the smallest, most uncomfortable step is catching the negative thoughts in real time. Like when I look in the mirror and I think, oh, I look awful. Like I would literally stare in the mirror, guys. And actually, there was a time I would specifically not look at my C-section scar. I hated it. I also suffer from keloids, by the way, side note. And after I did my breast augmentation, I did get keloids, but luckily I didn't know that it's fixable. And now I'm getting steroid shots. Now, if I didn't tell you it hurt like a bitch, I'd be lying. But boy, oh boy, they went down and then they're going to get flat and then they're going to, I'm going to go into laser and then there'll be like just a little line, like not even a keloid. So I'm really happy I found something for that. But before I knew that, because I found that out maybe like 2, 3 weeks ago, when I was planning my C-section for the second time around, I told my OBGYN and he was telling me like, "I'll give you a steroid shot." And wow, it made such a difference. But I remember the first time around, I did not look at my C-section scar. This time around, I had a hard time looking at the scar, but due to the fact that it wasn't keloiding and like it's just like a scar, like a little scar, very thin, it makes me feel a lot better. But anyways, I started stopping myself, while I was looking in the mirror and I would tell myself how awful I look. I didn't force myself to say that I love my body, because I didn't believe it yet at the time. But I'd say something like, I'm healing. I'm allowed to be a work in progress, because I know some people say, like, how you think it is, how you think it's so be ye. But for me, that doesn't work. Like, I can tell myself I love my body, I love my body. But if I actually don't feel like I love my body, I'm not going to love my body. And it just felt weird at first, like even saying it out loud. But little by little, it started chipping away at the way that I spoke to myself because habits are a real thing. And I spoke about it on another episode. But, a habit does take, I believe, 30 days. And like, if you start speaking to yourself kindly, it will become a habit. But then after that, the next steps came, right? And that's setting boundaries with the noise around me. So that meant, and this is no hate towards anyone at all, but that meant, muting social media accounts that made me spiral, taking breaks from the pressure to keep up, surrounding myself online and in real life with women who were real, raw, and honest. Um, because I just felt like sometimes there are these moms that want to make it seem like everything's perfect, and that's okay. Could be an insecurity. Um, but it just didn't make me feel good. If I would say, "Oh, I had a rough night," and a mom would respond, "Oh, well, my baby slept all night. My baby has no problems." It's like, that's amazing. Um, and I'm not saying that it's not true or anything, but it's just more than that. Some people just, and it could stem from childhood. I don't know. I'm not a therapist, but every little thing would be like almost a competition, like, "Oh, I'm doing great in that." And that's amazing. And I'm clapping for them. It doesn't mean like I'm upset for them, but like I didn't want to be around that, right? And the third thing, and this one was probably the hardest, celebrating wins that I usually ignored. So like I got both kids fed today. That's a win. I said no to something that drained me. That's a win. I didn't pick myself apart in the mirror this morning. Huge win. Because the truth is, confidence doesn't come from having it all together. It really doesn't. It comes from showing up for yourself in the smallest ways over and over again. And little by little, those small wins start to change the way that you see yourself, believe it or not. So if you're sitting here thinking, I don't even know where to start there. Start small, start messy, but just start. I'm telling you. At the end of the day, this isn't about Botox or body image or bouncing back. It's about knowing deep down that we're allowed to take up space exactly as we are, and that, we can be moms, be women, be works in progress, and still be worthy of love, confidence, and respect. And I was raised believing that you earn love by looking good. And that's something I had to reverse, especially I don't want to raise my kids that way. And listen, I'm not here because I figured it all out, because I definitely have not figured it all out. I'm here because I'm walking this with you. So if you've ever felt like you're behind, like you're not enough, like you'll finally be happy when you fix that one thing about yourself, I want you to know you're already enough. Really. There's a reason why you are here and you've always been enough. So I want you to like remind yourself of that. And I want to thank you guys for spending this time with me, for being part of this honest conversation. And if this episode hit home for you, share it with a friend, message me, or just take a second today to remind yourself You're doing better than you think, and you are never, ever alone in this. In the meantime, I'll see you next week. Thanks for listening.